But one of the things that I found is that when you plant seeds, sometimes you reap a bountiful harvest. And so Dr. Kevin McPherson has been a gift to the community of Oklahoma City. 20 years ago, he established a program called Care for Change. Later, he established the Marcus Garvey Academy, and he has done various good works in the community. He teaches at the University of Oklahoma in the African American Studies program, as well as Oklahoma City University and other institutions. Without further ado, I give you Dr. Kevin McPherson.
And I'm going to set my timer so I can ensure that I do not go over and I adhere to the time frame that was given to me. I stand before you this morning extremely humbled. And I say I'm humbled because to be given an opportunity, and in my notes I capitalized opportunity. You see, to be able to stand before you all this morning, people who are willing to get up this early in the morning on a holiday and come and honor the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and I share that honor. I love Dr. King. I was introduced to him later in life, and I've absolutely fell in love with the movement. I want to take an opportunity to point out two of my children, Marcus, Mosiah, and Makeda T. Their question to me was this morning, Daddy, if there's no school, why are you waking us up so early? And then I honor my mother, who's going to turn 78 years young this Sunday. Mama, would you please raise your hand? So I stand here truly blessed. I want to take the opportunity, as always, to point out and honor my brothers of Phi Beta Sigma fraternity and the lovely ladies of Zeta Phi Beta. And they're here, goodness, good goodness. And then I'm just going to take just a few moments of your time to try to give you all some food for thought. On this holiday, we don't expect you all to come to a breakfast and leave and get everything that you would need. So I'm hoping to leave something with you that you will carry with you throughout the day, that as you go to the silent march, as you go to the program at St. Paul's, as you go throughout all the day, I'd ask you to remember the reason that we celebrate the legacy of Dr. King. And then I want to just thank you to the members of the committee who invited me here today, who gave me this opportunity. And please understand, as an educator, Dr. Littles told the story, I had no intention of coming back to Oklahoma. I was in Syracuse, I was going to go to New York City, bright lights, big city, but sometimes God tells you to do things that were not a part of your plan. And so when they said full scholarship, I was going to be a lawyer. I was already admitted into law school. I was going. That was my dream. And my family said, come home. Probably the best decision that I've ever made in my entire life. So sincerely, thank you, Dr. Littles. Food for thought for the Circle of Courage, or what I like to call it, MLK, more than just a holiday. You see, we have to be careful. If we're not careful, we're going to allow MLK to become more of a myth than a man. And when he's no longer a man, then he's not you and I. And we believe that we cannot do all the things that Dr. King did, which we can all do. And so, like my dear sister, and thank you so very much, I can appreciate you. I feel connected to you, and anything I can do to support you, I plan to do. And so on yesterday, like her, I had an opportunity to go see Selma. It was my second time. And I went to see Selma because I felt connected to the movie, because some 19 years ago, while pledging Phi Beta Sigma at the University of Oklahoma, one of our tasks was that we had to learn our fraternity's history. And so I spent a lot of time in section E185 at the Bazell Library in Norman. That's the section that has all the books by and about African American people. And so two of the brothers of Phi Beta Sigma that we were forced, it was forced at that time, to learn about was Brother Hosea Williams and Brother John Lewis. And so I spent a lot of time learning them, and I learned about the civil rights movement. I'm from Perry, Oklahoma. We had not been exposed to it the way that I should have. And so we learned about the civil rights movement. And then later in life, while traveling in Africa, I had the blessed opportunity to study with Dr. A.J. Stovall, who is a direct disciple of Hosea Williams. I had an opportunity to study with Dr. James Mock, who is a direct disciple of Reverend Jim Bevel, who you saw as Common in the movie. I thought that was great that they chose Common to play Reverend Bevel. And so I enjoyed the movie. I had an opportunity because I spent hours and weeks with these men in Africa, and they told me things about the civil rights movement that you all will never know. They told me things about Dr. King, and so when I watched Selma, I felt connected to it, and what I noticed is that Selma was about this great battle, and there was opposing forces, you all. You have to understand, just like there was Dr. King, there was Governor Wallace. Just like there was Reverend Bevel, there was J. Edgar Hoover. There was Jim Clark. And so what you all must understand that there was opposition then, and there's opposition now. There was opposition then, and there was opposition now. I know everybody here today appreciates Dr. King, but you do understand not everybody, black nor white, supported Dr. King. And so there was this epic battle that was taking place, and there was a fight, and I saw Dr. King as a member of God's army, as a general, as a leader, but I also saw his frailties. I saw his mistakes. I saw he was just a man like you and I, and I'd say to you, if you want to judge Dr. King, ye without sin cast the first stone. And so I loved it, I appreciated it, and then they also dispelled a big lie. I'll say it, they dispelled a big lie in the movie. Many of us and many of you all have been taught that these opposing forces in the civil rights movement was based on race, black versus white. Just not true. If you watch the movie, if you've ever seen the documentary Eyes on the Prize, what you will understand is that correctly that the civil rights movement was about women and men of all races who believed in God. I like to refer to us as believers. People who not just say they believe, but you shall know them by their work, you shall know them by their fruit. And then some years later, you all, I had the distinct opportunity. Reverend James Bevel, you all think he's common, but Reverend James Bevel actually came to Oklahoma City, and I was his host. He came to speak for one of our programs called Every Month. I'll say it again, every month is Black History Month, not just February. And so I will never forget it, you all. When I took Reverend Bevels to the airport, he looked me in my eye, and he had this look, and he had this preacher's voice. Sometimes I wish I had that. And it said, "Tell them that it's education, Kevin." He said, "Tell them that it's education, Kevin. Of all the civil rights that our generation did not accomplish, it was education, it was education, it was education." And so he tasked us, this next generation, to understand that education is a civil right. You know, I'm looking at the new superintendent of Oklahoma City Public Schools. I don't know him. I've never met him, but I like him from a distance based on some of the things that I'm reading. And one of the things that he said that really got me, because I'm a visual person, he said that our school system has got some trouble, and he said that African-American children were dying on the vine. So I immediately thought of a grape when it's wrinkled. I thought of a piece of fruit, and I thought, wow, I understand what he's saying. He said that we are dying on the vine, and it immediately brought me back to Reverend Bevel when he said that education is a civil right. So when we talk about this circle of courage, I'm going to try to do today what Dr. King did after the Bloody Sunday March. He stood in front of the people and he said, he called on all God-loving people, all the believers. He said, "Come stand with us and help us in this battle." And I say that to you today, that the biggest issue of civil rights in our time is education. If the children are dying on the vine, then how do you expect this to become a big league city? If the children are dying on the vine, then how do you expect our situation? And I didn't say it, the superintendent said it. That's letting me know I got to get ready to wrap it up. And so what I want to share with you very quickly, I'd be remiss as a person that spent all that time down in Norman getting that doctorate if I just stood here and told you about a problem and didn't give you a couple of very quick solutions. You all know I read that Oklahoma City Public Schools sent back, I think it was $2 million or $3 million back to the federal government because they couldn't spend the money. But yet the children are dying on the vine. And so what I'm saying to you all, the believers, is that, listen, what if we had a renewed interest in education? What if we strategized like Dr. King them did in the movie? What if we came up with solutions? Let me give you one, Saturday school. I'm saying let's join with Whiz Kids. Let's create regional centers across this city where every Saturday morning we tutor our children in math, we tutor our children in reading, and we give them a nutritious breakfast on Saturday morning. And that is the type of thing, you all, that can be paid for with Title I money, the very money that we sent back. So I wish they'd asked me, I'd have told them. The next thing I'll say is education case manager. We need to involve the family in the education process, and the Title I money would also pay for us to have education case managers that will provide jobs that we can send people into the various homes and to the community and teach them about these test scores. I don't even understand them. I'm gonna tell y'all a quick secret. I flunked the 5th grade standardized test. Not when I was in 5th grade, just a couple years ago. No, some of you all take the test. I dare you to take the test. I dare you to take the test. I flunked the 5th grade test, and I have a PhD from the University of Oklahoma. Then I have one more, and this is the last one because it's most important to me, is that in elementary schools, we don't have an African-American male presence in the school system. So I said this, business people, $1.25 million. We'll take 25 African-American males. We'll offer them a scholarship of $10,000 a year to attend Langston University. They'll get a 5-year master's. I'm sure that my fraternity brother, Dr. Alex Lewis, can design it. So they'll go to Langston, they'll get a 5-year master's program, and 5 years from now, with a $1.25 million investment, you'll bring an army of 25 African-American males back into Oklahoma City public school system. It can be done if we choose to do it. And so in closing, I received an email from Governor Melly Farrell's office. It wasn't just to me, it was to all of you all. I don't know her like that. But she said she had Oklahoma goals for 2015 and beyond is what it was entitled. And she said that she wanted to increase education attainment. She wanted to reduce Oklahoma's very high incarceration rate. And she wanted to improve health outcomes in Oklahoma. And I applaud her. And guess what? All of that can be done by a renewed focus on the education system. And education comes in many forms and fashion. Sister Noel, you educated me today because I did not know. So it's not just about going to school, it's about education. And so you all, I'm a simple man from Perry, Oklahoma. I hear you, John Malgott, over there somewhere. There you are. I'm a simple man from Perry, Oklahoma, and although I have a PhD, I acknowledge I don't know much. And so I'm gonna point you all to the man of the hour. Dr. King, in his last book, not the early Dr. King, the grown, mature Dr. King, wrote his last book, and it was called, it's kind of beat up, I study a lot. Where do we go from here? Community or chaos? What I'm asking you to do, I even brought some CDs, there's about 50 CDs on the table, but this technology, you can download it for free off the internet. What I'm asking you to do is that throughout the day, when this holiday is over, remember that Dr. King laid out a plan, not me. Dr. King said, where do we go from here, chaos or community? And I think we know so far what we've got. So I'm asking you to read the book, to study the book. I'm asking the clergy and the believers to come together and put together an education plan, which Dr. King provides in this book. I'm asking you to listen to the speech, and then I want to close with this. I want to close with the man of the hour. When our days become dreary with low hovering clouds of despair, and when our nights become darker than 1,000 midnights, let us remember that there is a creative force in this universe working to pull down the gigantic mountains of evil, a power that is able to make a way out of no way and to transform dark yesterdays into bright tomorrows. Let us realize the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. Let us realize that William Cullen Bryant is right. Truth crushed to earth will rise again. Let us go out realizing that the Bible is right. Be not deceived. God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. This is our hope for the great future, and with this faith, we will be able to sing in some not too distant tomorrow with the cosmic past tense. We have overcome, we have overcome. Deep in my heart, I did believe we would overcome. Thank you.